everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have one of my favorite guests on the show. It's Abiola Abrams, and she's a passionate living coach at AbiolaTV.com, and she's the author of the Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love. And welcome, Abiola, to the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Suzanne. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, ladies, if you haven't seen Abiola on one of my shows before, she's amazing. She has the most amazing energy. She can transform anybody, I swear. So, Abiola, before we jump into this topic of post-traumatic love disorder, and I know, ladies, you're all wondering, what the hell is that? Before we jump into that topic, Abby going to tell us a little bit about herself and how she got into this dating industry.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, ladies, sit back because as Suzanne said, whenever we are together, it is a wild ride. We're going to have some fun. But most importantly, we're going to come away with concrete tools and tips on how to move forward your love, dating, and relationship life. As Suzanne said, I am a passionate living coach, and I am passionate about your relationships and about you thriving. And I started working in this field in part because of my own relationship woes and issues that I had, coming when a marriage completed. And it was a really, really difficult time for me. And I didn't feel it at that time like I could turn to my family. I couldn't turn to my friends. And I really honestly just felt really, really alone and didn't want to keep creating the patterns of my parents and other people. So I went about studying love and relationships to find out how to do better. And, I then, of course, I'm a big mouth. So anything that I learn, I want to share. So in addition to having a master's degree, I got my coaching certification and made my life about helping women learn how to live their best lives.
Wow. So what you basically did was you mastered this all in your own life, and now you're helping all these other women change their lives, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing that I stress is that it's a journey, that wherever we are, wherever you're stepping into it, a lot of women, they feel like, well, why am I not there yet? I've read all the self-help. I've been to the forums. I keep watching your videos. I do all of this stuff. Why am I not there yet? And you are there. Where you are right now, wherever that is, this is there. And then we just start from wherever you are, taking baby steps. All of us are on this journey together. Suzanne is in it, I'm in it, you're in it, and we're all here together. So
exactly. It's not like you all of a sudden complete your journey and you're done. It's like a lifelong thing.
Yes, there's no hallelujah, I'm healed. And a lot of people feel like that. Like I honestly felt like that, like when I, got married, with my first wedding. And I say my first wedding because I definitely will, have another. But with my first wedding, like I felt like, okay, even though I knew that there were problems, let's just get down the aisle and that will solve everything. Then we'll figure it out. And a lot of people feel like that. They feel like, okay, when I get married, then everything is solved. And no, you've just begun another part of your journey. And just because a person is married doesn't mean that they're in a happy, healthy relationship. And I know that's what Suzanne is about, and that's what I'm about as well.
Exactly. So, Abiola, I want you to tell our audience, what is post-traumatic love disorder? Because I know everyone's kind of getting that little dog look of, huh?
Yeah, it has a funny name, right? Like, a lot of, I use what my team calls Abiola-cabulary, which is, vocabulary that I've kind of adapted to fit, not only my one-on-one coaching clients, but the women that I speak to in groups and workshops and, to adapt to kind of diagnose the conditions that I see come across, my desk and come to me so that then we could come up with solutions. And I actually talk about post-traumatic love disorder in my book, The Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love, which you mentioned, in a chapter called On Letting Go and the Power of Releasing. Now, we all know what post-traumatic stress disorder is, right, Suzanne? It's when someone has been through a war or rape or traumatic situation and then has echoes of that situation and is unable to heal. That one of the things that I kept finding, not only with the women that write into me for my Essence advice column or my blog or whatever, but in my one-on-one coaching clients and maybe you who are watching this, is that, post-traumatic love disorder is being stuck in and still being affected by today by a past love, sex, dating, relationship situation. That, this can look like different things for different women. For some women, it can look like, okay, they are, bed hopping and saying, well, I don't want to be in a relationship. And they've been doing that maybe for 5 years because it's their way of avoiding intimacy and avoiding real love and avoiding being hurt. For other women, it can look like, okay, well, I'm just not going to be in a relationship. I'm going to focus on my career and I'm going to be a workaholic. That's what it looked like for me. Like, literally any addiction is about numbing and not feeling, and it was like, okay, I'm going to use work in order to not feel and not deal with real life. For some women, it can look like, just going from relationship to relationship. We all know, some of our favorite celebrities who seem to break up with someone. And then by the time we've registered that, they're with someone else. And again, this is a way to avoid learning yourself. Just like we have intimacy with other people, you have to have intimacy with yourself. And Suzanne, I would say the number one letter that I get from, from women is, why can't I leave? Why can't I move on? There are women who are in relationships that they just know are not right for them, but deep down they're afraid of, stepping away and not finding someone else. They're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of someone saying, oh, well, clearly you couldn't keep a boyfriend or a husband or a man or whatever. And, all of these things I put under the umbrella of having a post-traumatic situation, post-traumatic reaction to love, dealing with love.
So, and those are some great examples. And I think every woman out there has experienced at least one of those things. I know I have. When you were going down those time, I'm like, oh, I was there once. But how can a woman get over this post-traumatic love disorder and move on into a healthy relationship? And before you first start dating and then get into a healthy relationship, how can she do that and let go?
Well, it starts with, assessment of where you are and who you are. If you're just running from situation to situation, or if you're just blaming the other person, that also is, not, we can easily in these women-centered forums kind of get into, all these horrible doggish men. And it's like, okay, well, then why are all the dogs looking for you? We've got to figure out what's going on with us. So self-assessment is the way to begin. Figure out, put together what I call a relationship resume. I think we've talked about this before, listing out, what your past relationships have been, and most importantly, what the lessons are that you've learned. You want to just take some time to heal, nurture, self-care, love up on yourself, and get to a point where you have unconditional love for yourself. Because if you don't love you unconditionally, you cannot expect someone else to. And then when you're going back into the dating arena, this is really important that, sometimes we feel like, okay, we had such a bad situation, we want to just stay out of it altogether. But no, the way that you really learn and kind of, test yourself to see what you've learned, it's like in school, when you would learn something and then take a test, is by dating, by being out there, by, not putting so much pressure on each dating situation and just taking baby steps. Baby steps. If you're terrified to go and date, and you may be making it mean more than you think. So today, just, work on putting up your profile. Tomorrow you'll add your picture. Then you can meet someone for coffee. Just take little baby steps. We crawl until we can walk. And that's how we move forward.
Exactly. And I love that you said that, because I find that when I get too overwhelmed with something, and it's not just about dating, it's anything in life. If you get too overwhelmed, like Abiola said, is just do one little thing at a time. Because if you look at the bigger picture, and I know too many people do this, a lot of people that I coach, they'll say, well, what happens when I go out on the date? What happens when I do this? And what happens if I get into a relationship? And I go, okay, let's rewind. Let's just focus on going out on the date. We're not going to worry about what happens after, because we just want to focus on the first date, and that's it. So just compartmentalize it and don't think too far ahead, and just think about, I love how Abiola, you said, like, just go out on several dates, because I completely agree with you, is you need to date a lot. Otherwise, you're not going to know when the right guy comes along, because I hear all too often that, a woman will go out on a date and then she's like, oh, he's not the right one. And then she'll go out on a date and, a couple weeks later. And you got to date a lot, because you're never going to know until you meet the right guy. You know that saying, you got to kiss a lot of frogs?
Yes.
You do. And you will know when the right guy comes along. But if you don't kiss a lot of frogs, then you're not going to know.
Yeah, yeah. So get out there and just, you can't just the most important thing is, like we learned in science class, an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and object in motion tends to stay in motion. And so it's about just putting that motion forward. And one of the important things is, for those of you who are watching this video, this is a great first step. I know that Suzanne has some wonderful online programs coming, and so do I, that you then want to just make sure you're getting information. It's great that you're watching this video. Continue to do that. That the same mindset that created a problem can't solve it. So you want to read, you want to do classes, you want to work with a great coach, you want to, get some new information and some new things happening in order for you to do better.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that because it's about having a support network. I mean, your friends and family are great, but like Abiola's site, I know you offer a lot of great support forums, and being on my site, I offer a lot of support. And the thing is that when you have that support, it's not as scary. But I will tell you, the scariest thing when you're getting back out there and dating, especially after what Abiola calls a post-traumatic love disorder, is the hardest part is just taking that first step. Trust me when I say, once you take that first step, you're going to start to feel empowered. And that's what you want to do, and have that support network that encourages you to take that first step. And when something happens, because I'm not going to lie, dating is not easy. There's going to be times where you're going to fall back or something's going to happen. You want that support network and goes, oh, that's happened to me, so you don't feel all alone. And this is what I did, and this is how I got through that, right?
Yes, that's so key. That's so key. That was one of the things that I did, in my personal situation that was detrimental to me, is not have a support network, as you said. That sometimes people are really embarrassed. I was really embarrassed that, things had fallen apart in the way that they did, and I felt ashamed, but we're human beings. And so the more transparent we are about what we're dealing with and what we're going through, the more we can be of support to each other. So
exactly. And I just want to add to that, because I used to try and be this, I need everything to be perfect. And I used to hate to admit that something I failed at or something like that. Now I'm like, I that's happened to me. But yeah. Once you're like comfortable with admitting when something has failed or whatever, it becomes so much easier to talk about, and you don't feel so closed off and like you're hiding things from other people. And it actually feels good to just let it out, right, Abiola?
Yes, and I guarantee you, whatever you're dealing with, you're not the first person. You're not alone. You really, really are not. It can feel like when you're going through a big breakup, a divorce, some infidelity, whatever the situation is, like you're the only one, but you are really, really not. And so if you feel uncomfortable with your friends or your family, you can find a support group online. Find your tribe online and find some people that you can confide in. Don't go it alone.
Absolutely. Well, these have been some awesome tips. So, Abiola, I want you to tell our audience, number one, where can they find your awesome book? I want you to show your book because it's an amazing book.
Sure. So you can find the Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love wherever you buy books. So, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you buy books, you can find it online in, Kindle or Apple form, or, if you are like me and you love a good print book, just go into your local bookstore, and if they don't have it, just give them my name and they can find it in the computer and ask them to order it for you wherever you buy books. And of course, on my website, abiolatv.com is my main hub, where the TV stands for Transformation and Victory.
Oh, and everybody I know thought it stood for really TV, but
no, once upon a time it did, but now it stands for Transformation and Victory.
And I will tell you, ladies, Abiola is amazing, and she really can help transform you. So go visit her on her website and go get her book. And thanks, Abiola, for being on the show. And thanks, everybody, for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. If you like our show, it's available both in video format and podcast format. If you would like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you'd like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. If you'd like to get our free report on the top 10 secrets on what attracts a man and what turns him off, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.